Hey guys, it's TRIZE here, back with Automation, the car company Tycoon game, and what you're seeing right now is one of my latest builds called the Hinata Gust T300. This K-Truck might be the most interesting one I've ever made because you can see the intercooler is poking through the front. Why did I make something like this? It's because a user in my most powerful inline 3 video thought of what would have been like sticking a tiny engine with a massive turbo. That's where this truck comes into play. Anyways, I'll explain the details of this truck throughout this portion of the video. It has a lap time of 1 minute 54 seconds 34 milliseconds at the quote-unquote Top Gear test track and 3 minutes 6 seconds 79 milliseconds at the automation track. It has a top speed of 77.1 miles per hour and a 0 to 60 in 17.6 seconds. This vehicle uses a small 295cc inline-3 engine that produces 52.1 horsepower and 28.9 pounds-feet of torque. It has a fuel efficiency rating, which I'm surprised it's rating 0.0 miles per gallon and weighs 1,502.2 pounds, which equals to 681.4 kilograms. And now, let's go over the specs of this vehicle. In terms of how I made the Gust T300, the panel material will be made out of regular steel with a monocoque chassis made out of corrosion-resistant steel, with a front transverse engine placement, and my god, this intercooler is huge! So anyways, the front suspension we're using is a McPherson strut, and the rear suspension uses a solid axle coil for the engine, and oh, this... So it's an inline-3 engine made out of magnesium with the bore and stroke set each to 50 millimeters, which gets the engine size to 295 cubic centimeters, with a dual overhead cam 5-valve made out of aluminum silicone, with the quality for the engine itself at a +15 for everything. Okay, let's hide these for now. So for the internals, we got no balance shaft, as putting one will reduce the power by a couple horsepower. So to give more power, just put in a none. And for the crankshaft, everything, billet steel crankshaft, lightweight titanium comrades, and lightweight forged pistons. For the compression, so we're using a 15.0 to 1 ratio at an extreme level with a full-blown 100 setting for the cam profile, and the springs and lifters at a fairly soft 26 with VVT at all cams. For the turbocharger, so it's a single turbo with a smart boost system with the intercooler maxed out to 12,100 horsepower. And for the turbo itself, we're using a variable geometry setup with a ball bearing, with the compressor, which is right here in white at 120 millimeters. The turbine in this like cast iron color right here, this material, at 108.6 millimeters. The trim at a 0 to surprisingly max the power. And the max boost, which pretty much does nothing, which I've set it to at a 46.4 psi. For the fuel system, we're using a direct injection throttle per cylinder race intake running on super fuel, with the fuel mixture set to a 12.1, the ignition timing set all the way up to 100, and the max RPM limit set to an 11,000 RPM. And last but not least, which I doubt you can see, yeah, let's hide the turbo real quick. So how do I hide this? So for the exhaust, short cast headers with a single exhaust with the exhaust diameter set to 19 millimeters, which I believe is 3/4 of an inch. And it's got no cats, no mufflers, and brought that quality up to get the final results of this engine. And now let's get a hear of this stupidly big turbo engine right now. Sounds like a frickin' Wanko rotary engine or something. Tell that to Mazda. Going into the second half, so we got ourselves a front-wheel drive setup with a manual 4-speed, with the top speed set to the lowest of 103.1 miles per hour. The reason why it's set to 100-ish miles per hour, even though the slider is all the way down, is because of the high RPM set for this vehicle. And why is it now 80-something miles an hour? Hold on, let me reset this. So what would be the max speed? It showed 500 miles per hour. 515.4, max overdrive, can't get a 0 to 62. That sucks. For the tires, we're using some radial hard long life tires with the front and rear tire widths each set to 155 millimeters, running on some 12-inch steel rims. For the brakes, we got ourselves a solid disc 1 piston for the front of its size set to 220 millimeters with the front brake force at 140% to really stop the vehicle. Well, generally for the front. So with the rear brakes, it's a drum brake with its size set to the lowest of 160 millimeters with the lowest brake force setting at a 50% and the pad type at a full-blown comfort setting at a 0. In aerodynamics, why bother going over this? Semi-clad under tray, 15 airflow, go into the interior of the vehicle. Well, unfortunately, I did not put an interior due to the complications of the chassis and how small this vehicle is. And it's kind of weird, it claims that we got a convertible going up in here, a detachable soft top, which this is a not so soft top whatsoever. It's weird. So going forward with the interior, pretending we do got one. So imagine that we got 2 seats in here with a standard interior with a premium 8-track. I want to do standard, but it unlocks 2 more years later at 1974. With this vehicle, it's set at 1972. Come on, game. So going on with the safety of this vehicle, so we got no power steering, no traction aids with 1960s standard safety standards. And lastly with this vehicle, the suspension, we got some progressive springs of gas mounted 2 dampers, the only option, a passive sway bars, running on a normal preset with the dampers slightly adjusted. Despite having a handful of problems with this vehicle, such as the rear dampers being too hard, rear brake force being too high, engine bay being full, clearance issues, lots of overdrive, tires being wide, power steering, and brake fade, let's go to BeamNG.drive and see what this vehicle is all about. So here we are at the bottom map of Los Angeles and taking a brief look at this vehicle. Well, as you see with the front of the vehicle, we got the goddamn intercooler taking its place. So if I compare the difference between this vehicle and the one without the intercooler completely exposed and poking through, is that, well, the front of the vehicle is pretty much like any legitimate K car of the 70s, 80s, and pretty much present day, is it got the plastic piece like the plastic bumper on the bottom with a grill inserted in the middle. But instead, I want to expand things out by putting some fog lights, a couple of turn signals, and your typical headlights at the front with the Hinata logo on the front like it's Suzuki or something. And the sides are pretty much basic, but with the bed and everything, so I decided to add these plastic rails to both sides of the bed and not the back because, well, how can you get to the back when you have a rail blocking your way? And the rear, pretty basic, and you also got tow hitch, which I doubt this vehicle will tow. So right now, let's see if this vehicle is able to do our basic performance tests. The first we're going to be doing is a 0 to 62 acceleration test, followed by a 62 to 0 brake test, and lastly, a top speed run, which this vehicle here, being around 52 horsepower, it's not going to happen at all. Like, watch. Since there's some downhills, uphills, and everything, is there flatland above us or no? Guess we'll go next towards this runway, so let me reposition myself and start the 0 to 62 test. Alright, 0 to 62 test, start now. Accelerate as we go, and holy acceleration. First gear. 2 second gear, that is so pathetic. And third gear on the way, and this really does sound like a rotary engine, which I thought in automation. And 0 to 62 in 16.67 seconds of 879.80 feet. Damn, that's horrible. Brake test on the way, showing the cruise control at 62, but we're going 61 according to airspeed. What if I jump up to 63? So it's showing 62, brake now. Hard on the brakes, go on to realistic gearbox, and there we go. 62 to 0 in 3.32 seconds of 146.48 feet. Even though it's got no ABS brakes, I think brake time and distance will time a little bit below average, and distance, pretty much same thing, a little bit below average for a non-ABS vehicle. So for a top speed run, what if I launch this? Not too bad of a launch. You pretty much have to launch like 9,000 RPM, pretty much the peak of the turbocharger where it really kicks in. I believe K trucks, their maximum speed are like right around here, like 80 miles an hour or 70, and we're still increasing. We're going well beyond the 77 top speed of 77.1 miles per hour that we got in automation. So automation is hella wrong. BeamNG, we got different results of around 90-ish miles an hour as we ride down this stretch of runway. Well, we got the end of the runway. Let's crash these terminals. So get this left-hand corner going. Screech McDeech, hit the bump. That was a poor bump going off the runway into that runway and into that bump. So let's crash these terminals straight ahead. All right, stop. Go to 60 times slow as we go. So get the camera going. Hide. 60 times. Go. So here's the front of the vehicle. Smash and Oh god, 80-something miles an hour, that held up pretty well. Full time, and the engine still runs. So brief look at this vehicle. Well, the rear end kind of crinkled up as we smashed into the wall of this terminal building here. And also about the vehicle, sides, mediocre. The front, well, thanks to this intercooler blocking the way, we can't really see the front of the vehicle as much. Like the extended damage, that side, mediocre. And lastly, can it still drive? I'm in 4th stall gear. And the answer is yes, it's front wheel drive, but we're grinding our asses off and auto steering to the left. So yeah, we can steer right, steer left. Yeah, this vehicle can still drive as it survived an 80-mile-an-hour crash. That is stupid. So going on to a time trial run, we're going to be heading ourselves to Hirochi Raceway with the short race circuit with this here vehicle. And we're going to be doing 2 laps without a rolling start in the noon hours. So now, take it to the starting line of the racetrack right now. So here we are at the start and finish line right in the middle of the road. None of the little grid spaces right here like if you were to like start a legitimate race. But instead, we're right here. And let's get ready to start off this here time trial off in 3, 2, 1, gonna launch, go. Max RPM launch, not too bad. And goddamn, that exhaust is popping. Do it again, buddy. Do it again. Yeah! So handling this left-hand corner like a champ at highway speeds as this engine's screaming at 15.59 seconds of 836 feet. Yeah, not too bad. And despite being this light and this nimble, I'm surprised this vehicle is handling pretty well. How about this corner? Got some, not too much of understeer, but we're handling this pretty well. Oh, that was wheel spin, not understeer. How about here? No brakes. Hard there. And hard right here. And goddamn BeamNG, upshift to downshift. It really gets me. Might as well go manual so it doesn't do that again. And I gotta brake. Engine brake. Nope, momentum saved my life. Look at that, 40-something miles an hour, and I'm ripping through these corners like it's nothing. I don't know if it's like a placebo effect, or this is just me, or I really created a very stable, very lightweight, and very high handling of a vehicle. Coming into our first lap, we got a lap time of a 1 minute, 37 seconds, 866 milliseconds. What will it be for the rest of the second lap? And wow, our split time, we got a difference of 6.7 seconds. How about if we almost cut the corner right there? Let's downshift. Let's not try to lose any more time. I'm thinking a split time once we get over there, it'll probably be like a too early of an upshift. But with this vehicle, as you go into corners, it's got a ton of wheel spin, which I noticed with this vehicle. And watch the cones. That was cool. So split time here in 8:20, 8 seconds, 270 milliseconds. Not that bad. I'm surprised it's this good. This good and this slow. And probably once I get finished here, I'm probably going to do a very, very brief, like, pull test of, like, a basic trailer or something to see if this thing can tow. And final lap time, 1 minute, 29 seconds, 88 milliseconds, which gets a total time of a 3 minute, 6 seconds, 954 milliseconds, which I'm surprised it did better than third place. Well, I was so wrong about this vehicle to begin with. I was thinking like a 340, but we got a 306. Well, almost a 307. So go to free roam, crash us out somewheres. Move, sign. Yeah, get out of here, sign. So everything as is, full speed right here. Radiator leaking, and we do a frickin' spin out like that, and there is the vehicle. And for the first time, you can see the headlights and turn signals because the intercooler is really dragging on the ground. So the front of the vehicle, well, completely mangled up. Left side, definitely mangled up. Rear, okay. Right, oh, that tire's off the ground. And lastly, can it drive? No, we make a sick burnout. Let's see. First gear burnout. Second gear burnout. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, no. Goddamn, lose the power. Clutch drop. Nope, we're just do second gear burnout. And last but not least, like I've mentioned, will it pull? That is the question. So back her on up. Boom. So I got the large flatbed trailer with this here couch. So we're going right now. Not so bad. I don't know what the weight of the trailer and this couch is. So the couch is strapped down. We got the trailer and we're going. So yeah, despite being a truck for this size, it does pull, but we got a lot of trailer sway up in here, which is not so good. What if we rip this bitch? Rip through this corner. Oh, we had to go off track because we were really sliding and swaying thanks to this trailer. It's kind of like that one video I watched from like, what, 2011, 2012, where some dude was like swaying back and forth like this, and lost like a Camaro or something in the back, or some sort of car. So yeah, it does tow, but you only pretty much should only tow it when you're on flat land. I want about an uphill. So for the last part of the video, let's head on over to Car Jump Arena to see if this K-Truck with a big-ass turbo will take off to be a more quote-unquote relevant K-Truck. So I'll take you there to the top of the ramp right now. So here we are at the top of Car Jump Arena with the exhaust going through the bumper, even though the exhaust is pointing downwards. And for the lights up here, we got a 3 light, a 4 light, and a 5 light. So get ready for a green light to get this vehicle going right now. So green light, here's a truck. As I pan the camera over, and here we go down the ramp. First gear to over rev risk into power shifting. And for a top speed, we got our top speed. We're going to 12,000 RPM. And what about the engine? Anything more in general, more damage? 115 on our exit, and can we nail it? Almost nailed it. So we're gonna go end over end, as so, down the ramp here, not the ramp, but the hill and everything, and really going end over end. Radiator leaking, says the left side on the damage part of the UI. Engine start of oil, still flipping into the pool as we go. Brakes are being damaged, engine flooding with water. Let's shut her off and get you to some flat land. I'm surprised that vehicle was still going like end over end, like what, 10 times, almost like 20 times or something. So despite base dropping ourselves down here for the extended damage, we got this is the fuel door. Yeah, the fuel door looks like it's breached a hole right here, which is interesting. So unfortunately, we got that in check. The bed rails stayed intact, fortunately, and oh boy, the frickin' back of the vehicle is horrendously destroyed as we went end over end. Front of the vehicle, you could probably say the same thing. So for the final part of the video, let's get a high-speed crash test going by crashing ourselves at the final bridge pillar at the highest speed that we could reach with this vehicle. And a near 11 second 0 to 60 time, and the previous one going down the ramp was an 8.77 seconds. That's pretty good, and max speed, max RPM speed, max speed, and max RPM, and stop. 105 miles an hour as we pretty much redline and stop right there, unfortunately. I thought we could go faster, but it isn't what I thought it would be. So we're on down. 60 times slow-mo, hide the UI, and get ready to go right now with the weird camera angle. A little too fast, but I should have done 100 times slow-mo like I usually do, but god dang it. So there's the vehicle. Full time. Engine still runs. Come on, man. And 2, the tires are going to pull a fly-away Stanley Be Free as that tire did a skid. How about this tire? It didn't skid right there. So let's see where these tires go. So here I am at the end of the road here. So the left tire is going to go boom, and the right tire is going to go boom. Way backwards. Oh my god. So yeah, the tires did reach the very, very end of this road as they roll backwards. So who even cares about that? Go back to the vehicle here with our boy Hinata. So let's get on over here and see the aftermath of destruction of vehicles. So we're not going to be driving, so shut off the engine because it's definitely immobile. So we pretty much smashed this vehicle to the point where it made like an L. If you were to like tilt your head or something to like the left or something, you make a freaking L like you could put on Twitter to roast somebody. So the cab is slanted backwards, the bed has risen upwards, looking towards the front. Nice intercooler, bro. Put this on my Honda Civic. Left side, you can still see the extent like you see in the right side. And for the back end, well, fairly intact, which is kind of interesting. So that'll do it with automation and BeamNG.drive with the Hinata Gust T300. This K-Truck pretty much performs to an average one. Despite having a massive intercooler and turbo, it's just as good as putting a 660cc engine, which probably makes more power than this engine. Overall, it's a good looking truck with a ridiculous turbo setup. And for those who are interested in this type of content, please be sure to like and subscribe so you won't miss out on any videos like this in the future. And also, check out my social media down in the description below. So this is TRIZE Rising Up, and signing out.